question is asked, why does my partner take everything personal? Why are they so sensitive? And why do they want to keep going back to things that happened in the past? Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Live by Design with Grace Kariuki, where I endeavor to have conversations about our mental wellness, our personality, and how that impacts the kind of relationships that we develop. I want to talk about the melancholic temperament. A temperament is that part of your personality that deals with the world, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. So the melancholic personality or a temperament will be the kind of person who is introverted. They are deep thinkers, quite analytical, and they are also very people oriented. So we say that they are very sensitive to how the environment is around them, especially the social environment. So they can be quite social or they can be withdrawn. They find that sometimes crowds and a lot of people make them feel emotionally drained. And so you will find, even in a gathering, after an hour, a melancholic will want to be quiet. They will want to be somewhere alone because that's the way they gain back their social energy. And so when you are married or in a relationship with a melancholic, you will most of the times wonder why they look moody and why they look like they are in deep thought. And if you ask them, what are you thinking about? They might just say nothing, because that's their almost like a happy place for them to gather together their thoughts. Now, the strength of the melancholic is that they are going to be very clear about things because they think deeply and they are going to analyze what's going on. Now, usually you will find that the melancholic is an overthinker. And in my practice and in my experience with melancholics and that trait of overthinking, I normally say it's neither good or bad. It is when the overthinking becomes a rumination that it becomes detriment to the person, but also to the relationships that they are in. When we get into rumination, it looks like we are just spinning in the same space. So it's thoughts that come into their minds and they keep thinking over that same thought over and over again, trying to get out of it, but unable to. One of the reasons why the rumination happens is because the melancholic has a need for perfectionism. Things need to be perfect. And if they are not perfect, then they keep thinking of how they could be able to make that thing perfect. If it has something to do with their partner or anybody outside of themselves, they will find themselves blaming other people, wanting other people to understand and think like they do. And so you will find quite a bit of arguing and going back and forth, which can lead to what I call logical fights. So it's about words, it might be about how opinions about situations, and the melancholic can stay in that loop for quite a long time. If you are a melancholic who feels like you can't stop yourself from overthinking, I want you to overthink about the problem, because you are wired that way. So overthink the problem, but please let it lead you into problem solving. The overthinking, especially when we are disappointed about something, when we feel we have lost something, and even when we feel we are hurt, what happens is that that emotion of being disappointed, hurt, betrayed, or even a deep sense of loss of something, it can magnify itself so much that the overthinking leads you to have low level of energy. And so it's almost like you keep repeating the same thought over and over again. And that is what we call rumination. And rumination is not good for your mental wellness. Neither is it good for the people or your relationships, I should say. So what you want to do is to move along that path. There is a technique that we call, or a tip to deal with overthinking, that we call riding the wave. And this is when you feel the emotion and you allow yourself to ride that wave instead of stopping it or going against it. So if the thought is in your mind, allow yourself to overthink it. However, let the overthinking lead to a problem solving space where you are able to say, I feel this way because so and so did such and such, and I felt disappointed. Call the feeling. Don't just say, I feel bad. Don't just say that I feel worse. Identify what the emotion is, and then look at the event. Ask yourself, what can I do now? Not why did this happen to me? Because once you stay in the why did this happen to me, then it becomes really bad. Now, if you're in a relationship with a melancholic and they tend to do that, help them to move from thinking about the problem into thinking about possible solutions. Because if you do that, then you can support them to walk through. Now, don't start by saying, things that negate their feelings. You want to start by saying, I hear you. I can see how this is bothering you. Ask the questions instead of asking, why are you sad like this? Ask them, what happened? Let them tell you the story. Because most of the times we just need for people to hear us. And when they hear us, we feel validated, we feel accepted, and so we can actually move into problem solving. So very, very important that you as the melancholic to understand that you can move through the process, and you as the partner of a melancholic to understand that you can hold space for them by validating how they feel and then guide them into getting into a problem solving space. So I hope this is helpful as you are thinking about probably the unresolved issues within your relationship. And if you look at your temperaments, how different they are, how the temperament of your partner impacts you, what it triggers in you, then you can be able to walk together with emotional intelligence, but also with understanding and acceptance of how people are wired. Very, very important, because we tend to find that opposites will be attracted to opposites, will attract each other, and that theory really helps when you start to live together or to enter into a long-term relationship with one another, because you cannot make the other person be like you. However, you can hold space for each other so that you can walk together instead of kind of fighting each other about things that you can't change. So I hope this is helpful. If I can be of any personal help to you and to your relationship, please reach out to me through my website and I will be glad to work with you. And until I talk to you again about these exciting subjects of personality and relationships, continue to live by design.